Good afternoon and welcome to Valley Views. I'm your host, Glenn Edison. We're certainly glad to have you today. And you, as always, you can see us on Bledsoe Telephone Company's YouTube page as well as BTC Fiber's Channel 18. And today we have with us Sarai Pierce, soon to be Superintendent of the Sequatchie County School System. And Sarai, it's good to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Well, good. I've been wanting to get you here anyway since the announcement. And I know you're excited and kind of excited and nervous too, aren't you?
I think that's an accurate description. I'm so hopeful and full of excitement, and a little bit anxious.
Yeah, I mean, being superintendent's a little different than just being a supervisor.
Absolutely. All of a sudden, I will have over 300 employees and 2,100 kiddos, nearly.
Yeah.
About 1,900 students. So it's a big job.
So you answer to everybody, not just the school board. You answer to
Absolutely, everybody. And it seems like already people are finding that. Everybody I see in town wants to tell me how to do the job. But I've gotten a lot of good support, and I appreciate that.
Well, good. So to give us a little bit of background, how many years have you been in education?
Okay, so this is my 23rd year, and all of those have been right here in Sequatchie County.
And you started out as a classroom teacher, and then you went to a supervisor, correct?
You're right. So a couple of steps in there, I started as a classroom teacher there at the elementary school. I served second, third, and fourth graders for a few years in the math lab. Very quickly, I was moved into leadership and was assistant principal, then building principal, and then at the district level.
And that takes time. A lot of people don't understand. You get your degree as a teacher, but then you have to go get further certification for other things.
Absolutely. So more schooling every time you add a degree.
Yeah, and that takes some time.
Time and money.
Yes. And but that's a good thing. And have you always thought that one day you might be a superintendent or maybe a supervisor? Was that in your mind?
You know what? It really was not in my mind. I went to school with the intent of being a teacher. That's exactly what I wanted to do, and never really imagined beyond that. The opportunity came. They were doing some cohorts through Tennessee Tech, and at the time, I thought this is a way to get a pay raise. To be honest with you,
yes,
and so several of us together worked towards those additional degrees. But I guess the Lord knew better than I did, and quickly I was moved into an assistant principal role. But I had the credentials, so I was able to do it when the job was available.
And I know when that cohort program started, there wasn't that many people really qualified for these positions, and not many people really wanted it at that time.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. A lot of people still want it, Mr. Edson, but that's something I want to look at, is just increasing our pipeline of leadership. We need to build capacity within the school so that the next folks are ready when it's their turn.
Well, you never know when people have to step in. It might be the day that they don't even think about it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And just pop in one day and say, "Hey, this is you today."
Be ready.
Well, of course, we've already talked about your degrees and your positions. What are some of the first thing, or some of your, I guess, long-term and short-term plans when you go in?
Okay, so I put a lot of thought of this, into it already, even though I don't start until February. But immediately, the short-term plans, just to connect with our employees and our community as a whole. I think it will be my responsibility in the beginning to simply listen and learn. So that's the short-term goal. A long-term goal that I want to address has to be rigor of academics. Mm-hmm. I expect every kid who darts our door to have quality public school experience, and I'm really going to pride myself on that and challenge our team. So I want to hire the best teachers that I can find, and our kids deserve every opportunity and all the access we can give them when they leave Sequatchie County School. I truly want them to be ready for whatever is next for them in life. Is that straight to work? Is that a tech trade school? Is that to the university? So it's our job to prepare them and make them ready for that. So those are long-term goals. Short-term, connect with our people, both in and out of the school. Long-term, increased academic rigor.
Well, I know communication is a big thing among a lot of companies, so the people know where you're at,
Right.
where you want to go, so they can get on board with the same thing. Because, excuse me, I know in the past people think that maybe the superintendents or central office don't connect, but they're busy doing their things. It's not like I was just sitting in an office.
Oh, it's so not like sitting in an office. It's there's a lot of work behind the scenes, if you will, to keep things operational.
Right. I mean, you have meetings you have to go to and phone calls you have to be part of, and there's just a lot of things that you have to do that you can't just be going around the schools all the time. Yeah.
Well, and it's that's going to be a struggle, and something that I hope to work on is just that transparency, and we've got to make a real effort to be more public, maybe, and just put ourselves out there like I'm willing to do today, and let the community know the great things that are happening in our schools, because they are happening. I think it's our job to take time to tell that story.
Well, when you look at our schools, we have improved so much over the years, and even when I was teaching, we would compete or at least be with most of the schools in the state at on grade level. Mm-hmm. We weren't like we were just old country school. That's not right. Doing anything. We were actually doing things.
Absolutely.
Kids were learning. And now we've got the STEM center at the high school. We've got the added vocational part, the welding.
Yes.
And so there's other things going on that, and I know we've got other plans too down the road.
Yes.
So we're not sitting back and just saying, well, we're just here.
Oh no, we're so much more than that, and I think we're going to just do a better job at highlighting the great things that are happening within those walls.
And I know a lot of people, they noticed this year the athletic fields mm-hmm. and things like that, but we've got a lot of things behind,
sure.
On the academic side that's going on.
And we're all created so differently, and I'm so proud of us for all the things we do offer our students. I mean, just compared to a few years ago, it's amazing what they can be a part of, the clubs and sports, the academic teams that they can be a part of.
Well, and we're doing more academically as far as you mentioned academic teams.
Yes.
There's a lot more now than there were a few years ago. And it's a variety as well, so anybody can be a part of if they want to be.
Yeah, so good.
And as well as we have a variety of teachers that are with their experience and their background and their love for the children.
Yes.
And I think that's key, is their love for the children, and they want them to succeed.
I'm glad you brought that up in my interview for this position. Actually, I think I remember saying, I'm just not going to hire a teacher that doesn't love kids, and that seems to go as something that we understand. Like, of course, but I sincerely mean that. It's my job to recruit and retain the absolute best teachers that I can, and that's exactly what I'm willing to do.
Well, and I've noticed over the years too that the faculty in Sequatchie County, even though they may have different political points mm-hmm. or views, they don't push that in they're not pushing agendas in the classroom. They're pushing, here's what you got to know for this subject.
Well, and they better not be, because that's not their place. But I think thankfully we have a beautiful town here, and our school system is amazing, and our teachers are really incredible, and they're doing the work that they're called to do. Yes,
and a lot of people don't quite understand. I think most of them do, but some don't quite understand that there's more to just being there at 7:30 and leaving at 3:15. There's a whole lot that goes on in between those hours.
Yeah, they spend countless hours, and not, when I say, sometimes I'm guilty of saying teachers when I really mean all of our employees. Right. So please know that. But our teachers put in countless hours planning and preparing for their students. We've got to have somebody there by the time the bus delivers in the morning, and late pickup in the afternoon, and everything in between. And our folks stand ready. COVID has made that even more difficult, just more plates to spin and keep in the air, and our folks have continued to do what has to be done.
And I know, speaking of COVID, I know that's really challenged the schools last year with, having your A and B's groups and different days and everything. I know that was a challenge.
It was hard times, and I tell you, it's been just a whirlwind. It almost is hard to keep up with what day it is now. And I'm really proud of us, because like every other organization, we had to pivot what felt like immediately.
Uh-huh.
And we had to change our practices. And that day, it was a Sunday, I remember being there at the school board as we were going to make the decision. And nobody then knew what this thing looked like, this pandemic that they were speaking of, and how that was going to impact us. What we did know, though, is that we wanted to feed kids, and we wanted to give them access to continue learning. And so that meant devices, and that meant internet capabilities.
Yes.
That meant packets of homework. And you know what? It was incredible, the folks who showed up just to pull that off. And so all of a sudden we were faced with this new thing, remote learning, that many of us had not had experience in. We're very, very fortunate that our teachers were on board and did, hands-on, whatever they had to do to make sure kids had access to food. And then came the computers and internet and access to learning remotely. But our parents were wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
They were willing to adapt with us, and they were willing to follow our lead, and things like this will be the day and the time, and please get in line. They were so cooperative, and they were so grateful for the work we were doing, and it felt so good. They would let the teachers know how much those children missed them, and they would wave in the line. And so as hard as that work was, and as quick as we had to change, it really showed the teamwork between families in the school.
Well, I know my grandchildren, they really missed being at school.
Absolutely.
They were upset because they couldn't go, because they missed not only their teacher, they missed their friends, they just missed school.
Yes, and I would agree with them. And I think, as divisive as a topic as COVID has been, that's the one thing I found that everybody can agree on is we want kids in school. And we do.
Yes.
That's where the teaching and learning will happen, in front of a trained teacher. That's what they are equipped to do. For us to stay in school, we have to be healthy.
Right.
I want our students to be well. I want our employees to be well and healthy. And so that is my hope, that we can all stay healthy and we can stay in school. That's really what we all wish for.
Well, like in COVID, for example, do you and your group of central office employees, do y'all come up with a plan, then present it to the school board, and then the school board decides? Is that how that works?
That's exactly how that happened. And that is ever changing. For example, we ran summer school beautifully, and it happened to be without masks, and we didn't have any issue. And then we came back in August, and all of a sudden things changed. It's just constantly changing. So right now we're in a really good spot, and kids are in school, and I'm so glad of that. But I am not naive enough not to know that we better stay alert and stay diligent and really take care of ourselves. Let's everybody take your vitamins and drink your water and get your sleep, and just really boost up your immunity, and just understand that the conversation now could be different in the spring. I don't know, but I would expect our teachers and our families to just be willing to be adaptable if the time comes.
Right. Well, I know, speaking of adaptability, even BTC Fiber, they went out and put hot spots throughout the county for children to go and do their work if they didn't have.
They were wonderful to help us out and give access to families, because we found out, it's great to have. We did community hotspots initially, and that was a great first layer. But then we realized, unless you have reliable transportation to get to the hotspot, it didn't really help your family. And they worked to equip our homes, and we got devices in their hands. I mean, it was a lot of resources poured into even making that possible.
I was helped my grandchildren some, and I enjoyed watching them do their work. I thought, well, that's pretty neat. That's a neat program,
And the kiddos, you know what? It's almost instinctual to them. That didn't seem scary, but I think as human beings, we're wired for connection, and we need that. We need to be together.
Well, and you mentioned having to change and do a lot of things online. Probably some of your teachers are not computer savvy as well, and so that was a challenge for them.
It absolutely was. And you had grandparents helping kiddos, and so it was really learning for everybody.
Yeah, and but that's what it's going to be more and more of that in the future. I mean, there'll be more computers. I think a lot more things will be done on computer, as time goes along.
I mean, usually we have them on our watch now, right?
Yeah.
So it's certainly here.
Well, I used to joke with my children. I said, sooner or later, I said, the teacher's going to walk in and say, go to this program, do this, turn it in at the end of the, you turn your work in at the end of the class, and
I hope it doesn't go that far, because I believe the magic happens with the teacher
Right.
and a pupil. But yeah, I don't think a program can necessarily replace a person in that sense. But there's every textbook, for example, that we adopt has an online component, just like you're speaking to.
right,
Mm-hmm.
you don't always have to use it, but
That's right.
yeah,
It's there.
It's there. Well, that's a good thing too. What are some things that some of your personal goals that you have set up?
I haven't had much time to think about personal goals, which is kind of sad. It's just been a very busy time. I guess that would be just to stay well myself, make sure physically that I'm moving. I need to take care of me so that I can take care of employees, so that they'll take care of our kids. That's really how I see it. So I need to do what I need to do to stay well and be ready for the job and its demands.
And we've been talking about teachers, but you have plenty of assistants out there, and then your staff, the maintenance staff, and others that work as well, and they do a good job too.
They do a great job. We actually had to work late last night at the high school, and I saw the janitorial staff, and they're just scrubbing away. Nobody's there to watch them, but that kind of work is happening all the time. Bus drivers, maintenance, maintaining our beautiful campus. I mean, it's a constant, really team effort. I need everybody doing their part.
Well, and I noticed especially around here, and probably other places as well, but around here, people are just willing to jump in and help when
Yes.
the time is needed.
That's who you want. Those are the kind of people that you want working, just to do what it takes. And there's been a lot of that, when your colleagues are out for extended periods of time. We've encountered that now more than ever before, and so that means covering more, less prep time, just helping one another out.
Well, I know last year with COVID, you had several employees that had COVID and had to be
yes.
out extended time.
Yeah, it greatly, just like any organization, we were, firsthand, we were really impacted by that with some of our staff members.
So it takes a lot to
Keep it afloat.
Because I know there's been times when I was in classroom when we couldn't get a sub, and everybody said, "Well, here you got these students, and we're sending these.
Yep.
Just have to send them around."
We have divvied up kiddos. We use our substitutes, and some people still aren't comfortable coming back to sub for us yet because of COVID, and so it means the people who are at work have to carry the load.
They sure do, and excuse me. I know, like I say, you've got a wonderful staff. That you've got good administrations at all the schools, and I can't. Of course, I'm a little jealous too because I'm part of it, a former part of
That's
it.
right.
And but I think when I always looked at our scores and each year, we did really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were some years there were ups and downs. You're going to have that, just like anything else. But as a whole, our school system is a really good school system.
I'm extremely proud of us. I'm not confident that a set of test scores tells the entire story, because I see what the magic that goes on and the relationships that are formed and just the real progress that perhaps maybe a test doesn't
right.
indicate. But I don't want to lose that. I want this momentum to keep us really, like I said, I never want to be the reason a kid doesn't reach his potential because of my lack of belief. Like, I expect great things out of our kids and out of our teachers too.
Well, you never know, because I know I've had former students of mine who went on to college and they came back and said, when you taught us writing, we didn't realize we were going to have it.
They might not have appreciated it.
And no, they didn't at the time, but as they got older, they appreciated it. And so I know you don't appreciate it at first,
Right.
maybe, but it takes time, but you'll realize when you get out in the real world.
It's a valuable skill.
Yeah, and I'm sure that all the teachers have stories like that. I've seen too many former students come to me and say, or they see me out in public, and I'm thinking, "Oh, I had a little," and they'll come and say, "Hey," and they'll talk to you like, So there's a friendship there that we develop as well.
It's really a special thing for all the work that we do as teachers, and you put so much of your heart into it. it is, the flip side of that is how rewarding it really, really is. I mean, they love their kids.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is for everybody to succeed.
Yes.
But sometimes people succeed at different levels.
That's
And
exactly
if you can
right.
just get them past initial level, that might be success for
So
them.
whatever my best is may be different than whatever your best is, and I think it's important just to recognize that, and at the same time expect it. Expect whatever that best is.
Well, you hold that high level and try to get them there.
Yes.
And if they don't get there, but if they get halfway there, then it's achieving.
But don't say they can't. Yeah.
Right. And I never did. I always wanted to get to a certain level, and then I would look at where they were. I said, well, they did all right.
Stretch them, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the key. And you do that with your employees as well.
Yes, we want the best of our folks.
Because we've got a bunch of good employees. Many of them I know personally, and I know they do well. I mean,
We have an amazing staff, and I hope that that comes across from me to them, that I appreciate their work and notice what they do. I'm just so thankful for the crew that we do have and who has stuck with us, because it's been hard. It's been really harder than ever the past couple of years, but I'm really excited about our future, and just the folks who are willing to lock arms with you and do the hard work. I mean, it's that important what they're called to do, and so I want to not let us forget while we're in the business in the first place.
Do it and just go on.
Yes.
And I know you're proud of them, because they're a good group to work with.
It's great. They're wonderful. We've not put anything before them that they're not willing to do yet, and I'm glad for that.
Yeah. And maybe we've kind of touched on this, but explain your role as a superintendent along with the board. I know. Just explain that.
Okay, so our school board is made up of 9 members, one from each district, and those board members, like you were talking about, conduct monthly public meetings, and their job is to make our policy, establish our policy that will regulate us and that we will follow. And their job is also to hire the director of schools, and that's the process we've just gone through. Doesn't happen a lot, actually. They don't have to go through that very often. And then the director of schools will hire the other employees of the district, and so together it's the responsibility to follow. You're expected to follow all Tennessee Code annotated, any federal, state regulations regarding education, and just the overall operation. That's your daily responsibility.
And I know probably on your part as well as getting information down. There's a lot of rules and regulations that maybe the average classroom teacher may not know.
You ever worked with the government? It's and it's constantly changing.
Right.
Just a few minutes ago, I got another update, and it's just to keep up with that, and to keep us legal and follow the law. You have to be aware of what it currently says, and know that that's always changing.
It's almost like you have to have a compliance director.
It's compliance. That's the big
Yeah, and because I know when those rules change, they expect you to know everything.
Yes.
Even if it is today.
That's right. You're responsible for it.
Yeah.
And so it's constantly changing. Lots of reporting and lots of mandating. When you're getting funds, there's lots of red tape and strings attached to it, and so that's part of our job there at the central office. We're talking about those district supervisors, 5 of them, who help ensure all that work gets done.
Well, and talking about, let's talk a little bit about your funding. It comes straight from the county tax base, right?
Some, and so if you've been watching, our county commission is our funding body, and so they're great in their monthly meetings, and there's been a really great relationship between the school and the county commission, and I think, again, that's another big part, I think, for me, to get to know them and for them to know me and earn their trust, and so they can see the work we do and that they will approve our budget when it's time. On a bigger level, you may have been reading in the news just about the BEP, which is our current funding formula, and how that looks like it may be changing. So that's something we're really paying attention to, and will directly impact us.
Right.
This new funding formula that we'll have to learn.
Well, see, a lot of people, I don't think they realize, even though we do pretty good funding-wise, fairly well, if things like that change, we're a small community, and that might mean really bumping some things up or cutting things out.
It'll be my responsibility to work within those parameters, whatever they are.
Right.
Some things the legislator does make sense, and some not so much. But that doesn't excuse our compliance.
Right.
So it'll be really interesting to see what this student-centered funding formula that the governor's talking about, what that will impact us. What dollars will we get, and what locally will we be expected to provide.
And if it's more, we've been pretty good about not having to really raise taxes for school funding, but if that were to change, then we'd have to come and ask for more.
We'd have to ask. I hope I'm not put in that position.
Yeah.
But we have to pay attention to this and work within our means. I think it's our responsibility to our taxpayers, to be responsible fiscally,
right.
And good stewards of the town's money.
Right. They expect that, but a lot of times they just don't understand all the things that go on.
And I've got a lot to learn too. But you're right. It's just probably more complicated, I think, than people realize. But it's important for us to do our part to maintain.
Yeah, it's not like if you find something you need to do, you can just go out and do it, because there might be a lot of back story to that before you can get there.
Everything has rules.
Yeah. So that puts you in a hard spot a lot of times. I realize that. Was there anything you'd like to add that we haven't covered in our interview?
We've done a lot. Just that I'm thrilled about this, and I am nervous. I know a whole lot about our school system, but there's a lot I don't know yet. I hope that people who've worked with me that it's proven the work that I've done and how I conduct business, and that they'll be patient with me as I go forward and learn this new role. I think it's really important that we just work together.
Right.
I want our kids to be successful, and for that to happen, I need teachers on board, and I need families on board. So, these past year and a half, couple years, and when kids have come back to us this year, I could tell you, just being in classrooms, some of them act like they don't know how to act. Mm-hmm. And that's been a struggle. Just student behavior has been a concern as they've re-entered school, because a lot of these littles have not even had school or know how to act in school.
Right.
And so families can help us. They can help us by going ahead and establishing boundaries for their students. Go ahead and train them, toddlers, kindergarten age, all those. Go ahead, let your kid learn the word no and its meaning, and just set healthy boundaries for your kiddos. Let them know that they have to come to school. It's the law. If you've chosen to go to public school, then it's mandatory. You have to be in school to be able to learn. So we need them to show up every day. I want folks to know that riding the bus is a privilege. That is not a right. We don't have to offer that. I want to, because it helps a lot of working families out. But if a student is so disruptive and they won't stay seated on the bus, that's a safety concern.
Yes.
So I'm not going to let that kid ride the bus. They'll lose their privileges, and then that's going to burden the family to have to drive them to school. I want parents to just tell their kids to have some manners, teach them those manners and what the expectations are, and to mind your teachers when you get to school. You're there to learn. So I need you to be ready to learn. So those are things families can do for us that will be amazing. We would certainly appreciate that. What we are willing to do, and what I'm going to expect from teachers, and that I will offer to the families, is just to recruit the absolute best teachers that I can, and not keep folks who are not right for us. And those will sometimes be hard decisions, but that's what I'm willing to do. I think that's how I maintain quality. I want every student who comes in those doors to get very consistent education. No matter if they're in your classroom or they're in my classroom, if I've done a good job at hiring the right staff, then they're going to receive quality education, no matter who they're assigned to. So that's our job. It's our job to love our students and recognize all of their basic needs and help meet those, and maybe connect family to resources that they need. It's our job to set high academic expectations and believe in our kids, because they can do this.
Yes.
Education is the thing that changes lives. So I believe in the work that we do. I think we have amazing families that want what is right for students. and they're glad that they're back in school. So those are things that they can help us with, and I look forward to the partnership. It's exciting time.
Well, good, because I know our school system, they've produced lawyers, doctors, all kind of high professionals, and then they've developed laborers,
Yes.
electricians, the plumbers, and things that are needed, as well as other business people. And so we do a good job
Yes.
with what we have.
I'm so proud of us, and our community right now is working with our high school and putting even more of these entrepreneurships and these interims and these really work-based learning experiences for our kids. It's amazing what some of them are going to come right out of school with credentials and be ready to enter the workforce.
Yes, I'm excited about that, because I try to tell people that even though I went to college, that was my path I chose.
Right.
College is not for everybody, and get out there in the workforce. There's plenty of jobs out there
That's
that you
right.
can train and make as good of money as anybody.
That's a great point. And so college may not be their path, but we do want them to be productive citizens and contribute right to society.
Right.
So maybe it is welding, maybe it is an electrician, whatever their work and their skill set. Let's equip them and make them ready to help our community.
Yeah, because you don't think about math until you become a carpenter. I
hope my carpenter knows math. Yeah.
Yeah, and things like that. So that's important. Well, Sarai, it's been a privilege to have you, and I'm glad you've been here, and I know you'll do a good job. You always have.
I really am. I appreciate that. I'm so excited about it. I hope to really make us proud.
Well, you've helped me out in times past, so I know you'll do a good job.
Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate
it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And remember, folks, you can see us on BTC Fiber's YouTube page as well as BTC Fiber's Channel 18. Until next time, we'll see you then. Hey everybody, this is Glenn Edison from Valley Views. We appreciate you watching our shows, and we would like for you to like, share, and follow us on Facebook, as well as like and subscribe to our YouTube page.
Brought to you by Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative, your full-service telecommunications provider right here in the Sequatchie Valley.